I'm excited for our viewers to see some stuff outside of boating.
You guys have such a cool way of telling stories that's more advanced than a lot of companies out there.
You get to showcase these people as people, not just police officers.
However you landed that, maybe you can give us the cliff notes and we can kind of pursue that on our own.
Word of mouth seems to be one of the most powerful tools of marketing you could ask for. It's also free.
Putting your cars in shipping containers and sending them across the ocean.
I've gotten to work with a ton of really awesome brands.
He shows up, films it all, closes the laptop, gets a check, and goes.
Like, what's the next step for Scrapyard Media?
Good morning and welcome to the Table Scraps podcast.
On today's podcast, Bob and I are back together after 2 trips. He was over in Lake Powell and I was down in the Dominican Republic. So it's nice to catch up on the pod.
Yeah, good to see you. We don't usually spend this much time apart, so it's good. I'm glad to be back under the same roof working.
And I stayed home.
Katie's holding down the fort.
How was that?
It was fine.
Quiet.
I found 2 beavers in the pond.
2 beavers.
Yes.
Dang. That's any woodchucks?
Not yet.
Yes.
Oh, you did see one?
Wait, is a woodchuck the same as a gopher?
Sure.
No, but I couldn't tell you the difference.
The wildlife is coming out. It's springtime, even though it's snowing out today.
Springtime in Michigan, 35 degrees and snowy.
So on this podcast, we're going to talk about my trip to the Dominican Republic, and we've got Ashton Coker of Digital Sky Dynamics joining us. And then we're actually going to record a second podcast this week with my brother, Brian, who was joining Bobby on his trip last week. So we had 2 pretty interesting trips, very different. And on this pod, we're going to cover mine. And on the next one, which will come out the following week, we're going to go through Bobby's trip.
Yeah, and Katie and I haven't met Ashton before, so it was kind of nice to get a feel for who he was and hear about things from their trip from his perspective and learn a little bit about what he's got going on in Orlando. So he seems like he's pretty busy down there. So
He's a cool dude.
Yeah, he was very, very chill.
I like that.
All right, well, let's throw it over to Ashton.
We hope you enjoy.
What's going on? How's it been since you got back from the DR?
It's been good. The DR was a sick time, as you know. We had a blast. I saw that building collapse like the day after we were there. Had a bunch of people send it to me, but
wait, what?
It's been good.
Yeah, I saw that too.
Did you not see that, bro?
What building collapsed?
There's like a nightclub or something, wasn't it?
Were you guys in that club?
No, we hadn't gone to that specific club, but we were apparently like 2 blocks from it. So I was talking to Pepe, Jacinto's son, about it. And he was like, yeah, it was super close to where we were all at. I was like, oh, that's comforting.
Wow.
Yeah,
That's
it was
crazy.
crazy.
Did anyone die?
Yeah, it was bad. It was like...
Yeah, like 30 people died, I think. Like 100 people injured, 30 people died. They had a bunch of American baseball players there. It's been like a huge deal in the DR.
I think there was like a former Tigers pitcher that was there.
Really?
Yes.
Wow.
Yeah.
Apparently we have not been on social media.
No.
We've probably all been recovering from sleep, too.
Yeah, it's been nonstop since I got home with just catching up with everything.
Yeah.
But that's crazy. I can't say I'm too surprised by that, though, because when we were there, I mean, you look around and like one of the drivers that was in our car going back from the racetrack was pointing out how the bridge that we were crossing was all rusting out. All the support beams for this bridge were like on the fritz and there was no construction going on. So the place is, I don't know. How would you describe it, Ashton?
It was definitely an experience, to say the
Yeah.
least. I mean, we went from Vegas, which is like this crazy, built-up, futuristic, perfect city in the desert, to a country that was naturally beautiful. I mean, flying the drone, as you saw, was just beautiful coastline, but the city was just so crowded, and it just feels very dilapidated in some areas. And I felt safe the entire time with the group that we were with, but it's definitely not somewhere I'd want to just walk around on the street corners and hang out, waiting to see what happens.
Why don't you guys tell us a little bit about why you were there? Because, I mean, I know, but the audience doesn't.
I mean, it really came up like a couple of weeks ago when we pivoted, or when Alex decided that he wasn't going to go to California and go to the Dominican Republic instead to do some Porsche Cup racing. So I didn't find out until a couple weeks. Ashton, I don't think you found out until about the same time, right?
I think, weren't we both in Vegas when he was like, yeah, we're just going to go do this instead?
Yeah. And it seemed crazy that it was the Dominican and you're putting your cars in shipping containers and sending them across the ocean. But I mean, everything got there fine and the event was good, but it was a bit of a curveball from what we were prepared to do.
Yeah, I mean, I had a flight booked to California because when we had the first race in Sebring, he was like, yep, we're going to Sonoma. I'm like, perfect. So I booked my flight out to Cali. And then I was in Aruba at a wedding the day before the DR. And so I was on with American Airlines trying to figure out how to switch my flight from California to go to the Dominican Republic. And I was honestly very okay with it because much shorter flight than going across the country
For sure.
from where I was at. So that was nice, but I mean, it was nothing compared to what Brad went through to get there.
Yeah, Brad, what happened?
Yeah, I missed a flight, but it wasn't my fault. I mean, the route down from Detroit to Atlanta was like an hour and a half, maybe 2 hour flight, and we were in the air for 3.5 hours just going around this storm. So by the time we landed, I only had 15 minutes to make it to the gate. And come to find out, international flights close the gate 15 minutes before departure. So by the time I got to that gate, I'm looking at the plane, doors are closed, and there was nothing I could do.
Did you run?
I did. First time ever running through an airport. Man, I felt like an idiot.
Isn't it the worst?
Oh, yeah. Every person just staring at you. You're not prepared to run. I got 100 pounds of gear on me.
Were you dragging the Pelican case too?
Yeah. And I was carrying it.
Picked it up.
Darn, I wish I could have saw that.
Running up escalators.
It's one of those things where like you're usually the person seeing the person run by and you're like, oh, that sucks. Like that time you are the guy.
For nothing.
Yeah, just to get there. So then you had to reroute to New York, right?
So I could have either stayed the night in Atlanta and done the direct flight the next day, same time. I would have got in at like 1 p.m. Or I could fly from Atlanta to JFK, New York, and then take a direct flight back down to the Dominican and get there at like 12:30 at night.
Yeah, so it was like a 6-hour layover or something, right?
Yeah,
which is the option that you
New
chose.
York. Yeah, I did choose that because I wanted to get there that night and not waste the next day for travel because Ashton wasn't going to get there until about that same time on Friday. Or no, even later, right? You got in the evening.
Like I got in at like 1 a.m. is when I made it to the hotel. Friday night, Saturday morning.
Okay.
So we pretty much got in at the same time, just a day apart. And it paid off because the day that I was there, we went to the track and did a bunch of practicing. And there was a bunch of issues with like the car and the track, and capturing all that for the story was really crucial because we have to have these little conflict moments in order to make this a real story. So it paid off.
Yeah. Speaking of the story, so we kind of jumped over. It's Alex Pratt that we're talking about. I'm not sure how much the audience knows about the project that we're working with him on this year. So maybe we can talk a little bit about that. And then Ashton, I would like for you to talk a little bit about what you do with Alex, what your role is there, and then how that ends up playing into what we have going on with him this year.
Yeah, so a little bit about the project. Alex brought us on to make a 3-part docuseries on his racing and Good Boy Vodka's progression in the beverage industry. And I don't know exactly what it's going to look like because things change so much with this. We thought we were going to go to California. We went to Dominican. These events that come up for the charities that Good Boy supports. I mean, Ashton, you probably could speak to it better than I can. The volatility of the schedule is just ridiculous.
Yeah, I mean, I met Alex 2.5 years ago now at an event here in Orlando when he was couple years younger. Brand was just starting out and he was in 6 states, and we became buddies pretty quick at this golf tournament. He liked what I was doing, and I kind of dove headfirst into this role with him of handling all different types of media, from photography to videography, everything from his golf events to his foundation activities to his car racing to the boat racing to just every facet of the company. And seeing his growth has just been unbelievable. He's now in 43 states. And now being able to bring Brad and the Scrapyard guys onto the team it's super cool to see his growth, my growth, their growth, and everybody just growing together. They're doing unreal numbers in the industry. It's really cool to see firsthand. So, I mean, throughout this 3-part series, it's going to just be able to like really captivate that whole storyline.
Yeah, there was so many things that happened just between Vegas and the Dominican. You could probably make an episode on either of those. And we're going to have 2 or 3 more events in this. So it should be a very content-rich episode. Hoping for about 20 minutes on this first one.
Okay, so we're talking pretty chronological, you're thinking then?
Yeah. So the way that we broke it out from the Las Vegas race, which was about a month ago, till the end of May, anything that happens in that time period will be in the first episode. But we don't know if we're going to release the episode like in the summertime or if we're going to wait till the end of the year and then do all 3 at once. So that's kind of where Alex and I are going to work that out once we start to build out that first episode and see what it looks like, and then decide what our publishing schedule will be.
Gotcha.
Yeah. So it should be pretty cool. I'm excited for our viewers to see some stuff outside of boating. We are prepared to launch a video on an old building that is in our hometown here that is getting restored, and I was excited to put that out and have it be something different. So this is right along those lines and something that we've been trying to do this year, which is diversify into different industries. So thank you, Alex, for the opportunity to kind of do that.
Yeah.
And speaking on the small town, there is Good Boy vodka signs in our local liquor stores. So
yeah,
I just bought a 4-pack last
See,
week.
that's awesome. Yeah, when I was visiting my family this past weekend, they were drinking Good Boys.
No way.
Yeah, I was like, what?
That's
This is
awesome.
cool.
0 carbs, baby. It's
It's good.
very keto friendly.
Yeah.
So speaking of different industries, we've been branching out here. Ashton, I'm curious what you've got going on in Orlando. You know, I know your association with Alex, but tell us a little bit about, I guess, where you started in the industry, what got you into it, and then what kind of things you got going on.
Yeah, absolutely. I was born and raised here in Orlando, so I'm 24. Got into videography pretty seriously about 3 years ago. And I grew up as a wakeboarder. I was born and raised on the chain of lakes here. So grew up behind the boat, wakeboarding, traveling with that. And then as I started to get injured through the seriousness and impact of the sport, I picked up a camera and started filming my buddies during rehab and ended up falling in love with it. And it's been super, super cool journey over the past couple of years. And I've gotten to work with a ton of really awesome brands. And then more locally, try to start to see how I could give back to the community that I was from. So I landed a really cool gig and opportunity with the fire and police department here in town. So I do all their media now and get to ride around with them and experience what another type of career field that's super rewarding is like. And then on top of that, I still am involved in the boating industry a little bit here and there. And not just with Alex's boating endeavors that he's done, but with companies like Nautique and a lot of the wakeboard companies around town. My roommate owns a wakeboat charter business. And so I do all his media that's right out back. And that's been super fun to be able to stay on the water and in that same industry that I grew up in. And now diving into all sorts of different fields from, you know, commercial work to event work to individual work. So it's really, really cool.
Yeah, that's sweet. So do you find that it was more about the people that you met as you were coming up in the industry, doing things other than videography, developing those relationships and then going back and then offering them a product? Or did you find yourself maybe with this local stuff going out and like sharing your work and trying to like market yourself?
I mean, I'd say, as you guys probably know too, word of mouth seems to be one of the most powerful tools of marketing you could ask for. It's also free. And it was really just that connection with people that I built throughout the years of wakeboarding and inviting them on the lake or whatever the case was in town to just say, yeah, I'd love to come film this aspect of your life that you're not normally getting to see. So it was hanging out with those people on the water and business owners in town and saying, hey, I'd love to be able to come out and showcase your business in this new light that maybe you haven't been able to see before. And, you know, you've worked so hard to create this passion of yours and this business that you've grown. And for me to be able to come in with a camera or two and document what they have created over the past however long it's been has been the best way I could say to do that. And then they tell 4 or 5 more people and share it. And that's really the best way that I've found growth in the hometown of Orlando.
So you got to tell us the one story, though, about Johnny Damon and the Savannah Bananas, because I know Katie loves the Savannah Bananas.
I do.
Yeah.
Big fan.
Yeah. So when I was first starting out, I just got like my first Sony cameras and I was like, oh, this is sick. Like, this is what I want to do. a guy that I went to college with named Benjamin was the manager for Johnny Damon. And he was like, look, I don't know what your schedule's like. I'd love to have you out to some of his events to film. And I was like, absolutely. Granted, Johnny was definitely the previous generation before me, playing in the early 2000s and late 90s, but obviously still has a name for himself to this day. So I had a lot of really cool opportunities with him starting out very early on to go to some of his golf tournaments, some of his baseball games that he's played. And we ended up going to a Savannah Bananas game. And I'd never heard of them until this time. It was 3 years ago and they'd just started out. And so I went with him and we were on the field and he had his own jersey and it was super, super cool. And he brought his, the world or the, whatever the rings are that, what is it? The World Series?
Yeah, the World Series.
The World Series rings.
Wakeboarder.
Yeah, never played baseball, but the community was cool. And working with Johnny was really cool. It was like one of my first customers, so to speak. And it was an amazing opportunity. And I actually ended up meeting Alex with Good Boy at Johnny's golf tournament. And Alex had sponsored one of his holes and needed a videographer. And Johnny's like, dude, you need to meet this guy. He's up and coming in the industry. I think you guys would hit it off really well. And here we are 3 years later.
Wow.
Unbelievable connection.
That's
Unbelievable.
awesome.
Seems like that's how they play out. It doesn't really seem real when you trace it back to how it all kind of unfolds. To your point, word of mouth, like the our come up in the community and doing different things. It's all just customers talking to other people, suggesting us as a potential solution. And then that gets them to, our Instagram page or our YouTube or whatever, to where they can see what our work looks like. And then sitting down and meeting with them, that's where you develop the relationship. That's where it really starts.
Another one that you were kind of telling me about was the air show down in Florida. And I can't remember what the client was. Was it Visit Florida or what was it?
Yeah, Visit Central Florida was the company, and that was through wakeboarding as well. So this guy named Scott out in Colorado has started and done it for years. He was involved with the live streaming of the Olympics, and then as that switched to live TV, it then got him involved in the industry of all these different sports. And Visit Central Florida is a company that hired him to do all these live stream events. And I met Scott through the head of Team USA when I was competing on that when I was wakeboarding. And when I got out of wakeboarding, she was like, you need to meet this guy. He's doing all these live stream events. He needs help in Florida. I'm like, perfect. Would love to meet him. Ended up hitting it off really well with him about 1.5 years ago. And I just went down to Australia with them to film Show Ski Worlds. And we've got the Air and Sea show coming up, which is in Miami. Unbelievable working with the military and the performance that they put on over South Beach. And they just have all sorts of different stuff. And even though it's not as much of the creative side as I normally do, or you guys do, it's still cool, different, mixing it up type vibe of still being with cameras and filming and a cool audience, but there's no editing, which as you guys know is pretty nice.
He shows up, films it all, closes the laptop, gets a check and goes,
Wow.
Yep.
The dream.
So, set the camera up, run the cables, film it. I don't even hit record. You just point the camera in the right direction. The computer records it all and shut it up and go home.
Okay, maybe me saying the dream is harsh, but that would be nice every once in a while. That's like that feels like the
exactly
one of when we go shoot for like one of your projects that you're working on. I really enjoy going out and getting the footage and being like, all right, good luck.
I'm gonna edit it. Yeah, that's a cool different way to kind of showcase your skills and get into some different industries. With Visit Central Florida, I mean, there's got to be all sorts of different things that you guys are filming. And growing up there, you probably have an idea of like what all those things are.
Yeah, I mean, they have everything. They just built this crazy new complex where they've got a cable park for wakeboarding. They've got a boat lane for surf and wake events. They've got soccer fields, baseball fields, and it's out in the Auburndale area. And they've really been pushing it and putting a lot of impact on people coming that are visiting and hosting sporting events there. So they have a long future ahead of them, and hopefully so do I. So fingers crossed that that we can continue to do work together. And it's a great, it's mostly all Floridians that have founded it and owned it. So there's always that nice little connection that you can have with them there.
This might be random, but do you know Ken Pozek? Do you know?
I feel like I've heard that name.
Have you heard of the Orlando Reel?
Yeah,
it's
relatively.
He's a realtor. He works for Keller Williams. It's the same company, the same brokerage that the realtor that we work with, Chantel, works with. But he's just very, very popular in Orlando. And
through video.
yeah, like he grew a huge YouTube channel for realty, and it probably started with home walkthroughs and stuff like that, but then it slowly shifted toward a lot of what you're talking about, which is just showcasing the city, exclusive looks at new theme parks and all that stuff. And it just seems like Orlando is like the absolute best spot to do that because they are just opening new stuff. I don't even understand how they're building new apartments and houses and new theme parks and all. And I'm like, how do they even have the capacity to just continue to add people? But it seems like to be a realtor there, not to mention a realtor that's based on video, like he found the right spot to do it.
Yeah, I mean, it's growing so quick, but obviously traffic's building up too. And Brad tells me how lovely it is to go home to where you guys live and there be no traffic and it's just beautiful and there's no huge construction. And meanwhile, right outside, I can see a crane from my freaking apartment window building another apartment complex. Stop traffic in the road. Whole 9 yards.
Did Brad tell you about what my commute to work is like?
No, I haven't heard that, Bobby. Why don't you share?
It's a short story.
I literally live 3 doors down. So I just pull out of my house, make a left into his driveway, and I'm there in 30 seconds. Usually traffic's pretty light.
Unless if there's a down tree on the driveway.
That's true. That has happened a few times.
times.
Or Katie's leaving as I'm coming in, and then there's like a little bit of a discombobulation
like
there.
Bring your chainsaw to work.
Yeah, there's been multiple times I have to call Brad and be like, grab the chainsaw. I'm like, I can't get there.
Yeah, if you ever want to get out of the city and get away from the construction, just come on up here.
Dude, next podcast, I'll be there in person.
Nice.
Yeah, that'll be nice. I was just thinking you were talking about Orlando and the work that you're doing with Central Florida, and we just read an article in our local paper about
read the article.
I read
because Bobby reads the paper.
I read the local paper.
I read the local paper too.
Do you?
Yeah.
Did you see the article? Did you get the hot take on the Macomb County contract coming up for videography and marketing?
No, I missed that one.
I
was reading about the water park that's being built.
Okay. Did you read about the service dog that was hired? It was a puppy.
Okay, guys, quit flexing on your newspaper reading.
So hold on. A water park in Michigan?
Yeah.
It's probably indoor.
It's more
right?
like it's a pretty. Water park is probably a stretch.
It's like a splash
It's more
fountain.
like a splash pad. There might be one slide.
We do have an indoor water park up north, though.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, our splash pads last a long time. They'll get used about
only 3 months out of the year.
Yeah, something like that. But no, this Macomb County thing, like we were just talking about potentially looking into that, and it would be very similar, just trying to get involved in the local community and showcasing things for them and doing videography work. And it reminds me of a conversation that I was just having with a friend of mine about this job and how there's things about it that are very obviously exciting, but then there's other portions of it that might seem dull. But to be honest with you, even at its dullest points, it's really not. Like there's always something to find to enjoy about it. Like you said, at least you're working with a camera, at least you're showcasing people or an event or whatever. Like it's just, it could be much worse even at its most boring moments, if you'd want to call them that.
Absolutely. I mean, there's definitely long days when it comes to live streaming. I mean, standing outside for the entire event, doing the same thing, panning left to right can definitely get a little agonizing. Mm-hmm. But like it's like a water ski tournament. You know, every skier is still different. Every skier does something different. And then like the Air and Sea show, I'm on the beach in South Beach for 12 hours a day for 5 days straight. But being able to see those planes up close and the formations they fly is just, it's like the inner kid in me comes out and it's just a blast. So I wouldn't change it for the world.
Yeah, and what you've got going on with the city fire and police, I think you mentioned like a way to give back to the community. And even though you're getting paid on that, that's not something that's going to like scale up your business, right? That's taking your skills and making it accessible to your community to look better. And I think that's something that we could try to pursue in our own community here, because there really isn't like any good media for our township or New Baltimore. Mm-hmm. So if we could get in there and do something like that, it doesn't have to be at our normal rates because we want it to just look good for our community.
Right.
I think that's something that we've talked about a little bit. You know, it's on our goals sheet. So however you landed that, maybe you can give us the cliff notes and we can kind of pursue that on our own.
I'd say it was really through, I helped my roommate start his wake boat charter business, Coastal Wake, and that was on the chain of lakes here. We both decided we both grew up wanting to pursue wakeboarding as a career. And as time went on and our bodies start to fall apart, we realized that wasn't necessarily going to be a possibility. So he started this business and I helped him start it. And ever since day one, the community that has formed around it, living on the lakes and everybody that's involved in the lake life down here has just been amazing. And one of our first customers is actually a lady named Carrie Proudfit, and she started asking if I'd be interested in coming to just film the police and fire department with her because she saw what I was doing with the boat charter business. And I said, sure. And she'd been in communications and PR through the city of Orlando and the city of Winter Park where I live, and just always involved with the community. And it was just one of those connections where she said, do you want to come and showcase what you can do? And as you said, she said, can't pay you as much as your normal rate.
Mhm.
And I said, that's fine.
Yeah.
But it's one of those situations where they reach out to me. They say, hey, can you come film this? Or what's your availability? It's not necessarily one of those things where I have to super strictly plan it, which is the nicest part about it. There's no maximum. There's no minimum. There's some months I work 3 hours. There's some months I work 30 hours with them. It's a phenomenal opportunity, and I love it because it's gotten me involved in the community, and I've been able to get to know so many firefighters and police officers in the town that I grew up in. And, you know, just getting able to see their behind the scenes and showcase how good of people they are to the rest of the city that might not know or have a negative viewpoint on police officers, as unfortunate as that is, that it's allowing me to change that viewpoint and make our city look as good as possible. So I have an absolute blast with it, but it all came from the connections and networking. It's really what it all boiled down to.
I would say based on the way things are, that's very opportune for you to come in to the fold at this point. For that exact reason, like, you get to showcase these people as people, you know, not just police officers. Maybe people have certain ideas in mind of what they think their job looks like or who they are. It's nice that you get to kind of change the script on that a little bit, if you will. For some people, obviously, there's plenty of people that don't feel that way, but
Sure.
yeah, to put them in as much of a positive light as you can is super impactful, especially just like right now, it seems like.
Yeah. And I mean, a lot of these people have families and being able, we celebrate all these different holidays and we'll do like highlighted Mother's Day pieces or highlighted Father's Day pieces. And being able to, like, the firefighters will bring their kids into the station or they'll drive them to school. They'll do like a firefighter drive to school event where the fire truck will go pick up kids at a bus stop instead of what they normally do. And just having that impact that they have, but being able to capture it and showcase it to more than just the people that are there is, I think, what's really cool about it. And the community that I live in is super small, but they do a really good job at making an impact in the community and making the right type of impact.
When I first saw that you were going to come on the trip to Las Vegas, I looked up your page and whatnot, and I saw Winter Park, Florida. Or I didn't see the Florida. I just saw Winter Park, and I'm like, man, this guy's out in Colorado, like filming the fire department out there, because we had just gotten back from Winter Park, Colorado.
Yeah, Brad all excited.
Yeah, I got real excited. I'm like, ooh, he's probably into skiing.
Yeah, probably go visit him, maybe hit the lifts a little bit.
Yeah, no, that was pretty funny.
You can come hit the lakes in Orlando whenever you want.
All right. You know, I never thought about Florida as like a lake state, but you're kind of, everything you're saying is lake-based, not ocean-based. I just never thought of it that way.
I had a question about Instagram story I think you posted the other day with a crocodile. Was that you?
Yeah.
What was
so
that?
We'll go out. I mean, that's when we get bored enough of the city that my buddy has an airboat and we'll take it out and we'll go look for alligators and jump on them and chase them. And,
okay.
Jump on them?
Yeah, alligators. Yeah, we'll go chase them. We'll run through at nighttime in the airboat and just do something that's out of the norm for, I guess, our normal city life, so to speak. So we just get out there and the boys will go out and just have a great time.
So are there alligators in all the lakes?
No, so we go out into about an hour outside of Orlando for that. The lakes around here, it's so built up, as we were talking about, that a gator would have to cross like 8 lanes of traffic to be able to get to a lake.
Oh, okay.
And the wildlife game community around here will come and remove an alligator if they see it, and they'll relocate it to another part of Florida that's like 2 hours away.
Gotcha.
And
And then you go find it.
Then we go try to find it again.
So, Katie, are you asking because you want to find the alligators or because you don't want to find the alligators?
Yeah, Katie made a whole video on
I'm very interested
in
in seeing an alligator.
Okay.
Oh, you can make that happen, no problem.
And I just am curious. So, have you ever seen an alligator while you were wakeboarding? Like, just in the lake while you were wakeboarding?
Like, when we grew up, we used to film, like, different video parts with companies, and a lot of the companies will want to do a part on Florida. But what comes with Florida is alligators. So we will go wakeboard, like, where they are. And there'll be guys, and we've done video parts down the St. Johns River, which is a pretty famous river here that's just flooded with them. And one of the guys I grew up riding with lived on that river. And so we'd go out and we'd wakeboard, and you'd see him on the bank, and you'd fall. And it's like 100 feet wide, just a river. And you'd see him sitting there, and the boat would come back and pick you up. But they don't mess with you.
Really?
Like, they're not going to do anything. We've never had an incident. I mean, I've sat in the lake for hours.
Wow, that's fascinating.
Sharks are way bigger. We'll go out and surf in New Smyrna, which is the shark bite capital of the world, apparently. I've never been bit, but I mean, you'll see them all the time. Like, you'll just be paddling, and you'll grab one with your hand and just keep going.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, look up New Smyrna Beach, Florida, and it'll be like a drone picture. Whenever you fly the drone, you just see like 20, 30 of them in the shallows.
We did a shoot there, and I had no idea. Thank God I didn't get in the water.
Insane.
At what point is it not worth it? Like, at what point do you just find somewhere else to surf? I guess that's coming from a non-surfer. I guess you guys really don't care. Like, it's all about the waves.
Yes.
Well, I guess if they leave you alone, then it doesn't matter. I had a different perspective on alligators and sharks. I thought if you're in the water,
I wouldn't tempt them, but we try to stay clear of them. Like, as you saw in the Instagram story, they run away from you just as quick as you can find them. So it's not like they just sit there and wait for you.
Well, I watched that Instagram story several times because I was like, this is so cool. And then I asked Brad about it, and he didn't see it. And then I wasn't sure if it was actually you who posted it, because then I couldn't find it again. Yeah. And I was like, no, I think it was him. So I'm glad it was you, and that
it was.
You could tell me more about it.
When you asked him,
we caught like
I was like, oh,
little one.
I was a little hesitant.
Yeah, so we caught like a super small one when we were out there. You just grab them by the neck, and then they make little noises, and then you put them back.
Wow.
That's crazy.
I did that with frogs.
When you guys come down, we'll take you out.
Frogs.
That was it was a little less risky here.
Yeah, maybe
in
a painted turtle.
Yeah, I think the snapping turtle is the most dangerous thing.
Yeah, snapping turtles are assholes, and we have plenty of those in our neck of the woods.
That's Michigan right there. We have snapping turtles. Yeah. That's about the worst thing that you're gonna get into.
It still hurts though.
I wouldn't mess with one of those either.
I know, but Florida, things can kill you. Like, I feel pretty safe here. We don't have hurricanes. We don't have it's just nice and safe.
Yeah.
I like it.
Yeah.
And it's snowing.
I can't do the cold though. I can't do the cold.
I told Ashton earlier it was snowing. He's like, oh, Brad's probably excited about that.
Oh yeah. I was real happy when we got up.
I was not.
Yeah. Katie and I are over it.
But so what's next for you, Ashton? Like, where are you thinking that, what you're doing right now, where is that going to take you in a few years? Do you have any projects in the works that you're excited about, that you're looking forward to in the future? What's next for you in this career?
I feel like that's one of those questions that I always get asked, and my answer is either I don't know, or keep my fingers crossed that I can continue to live the dream that I'm living. But I'd say if I really had to pinpoint something specific down, is the opportunities that I've had over the past 3 years and the events I've gone to and the people that I've met is something that I really aspire to be able to give somebody else as I continue to get older. So growing a team is obviously my biggest thing. I have guys and girls here that I contract out that also kind of do similar to what I do, that when I need help on a shoot, I bring them in and they help out. But the biggest goal is to have my own team that I can go to these events to, and hopefully one day be able to kind of hand the hat off, if you will, to another person that can go, or other people that can go to these events and experience the same amazing things that I've been able to experience. So yeah, that's probably the biggest goal I have. In terms of events coming up, I've got the Air and Sea show next month. We're going to be in Nashville at the John Daly Golf Tournament with Good Boy. That's next month. In June, I'm going over to Switzerland for a sea race shoot. I'm doing the Miss Florida pageant. I'm live
Ooh.
streaming that event here in June. So those are some pretty cool projects coming up. Little dipping my toes into like different fields of filming. So it's cool.
Yeah, that's awesome. I like where your head's at with that direction, and it's very fulfilling to build a team. I gotta say, we just brought in another guy, Christian, who started this week with some of his training, and I'm looking forward to seeing him grow and just helping him and having Bobby kind of coach him along the way. Now that he's been doing this for a couple years, and having a team, it's really nice to come home or to come to the office and share your project.
We work from home.
Yeah,
Both.
home, office.
Office is
It's kind of a dual purpose building. Yeah, but it's great to like have somebody to talk to and be able to brainstorm with other people that are on your team that you fully trust. And yeah, I've really enjoyed that part of it, and I'm looking forward to seeing you go through that as well.
Yeah, I'm really excited. I might need to get up. I just realized my camera's in manual focus, one of them.
We're almost done.
At least you got 2 rolling.
Just leave it. We'll put you with the Tommy gun.
Yeah,
on the Tommy gun list.
Tom's camera was out of focus like pretty much the whole time. His focus cube was just off to the right.
Like, what's the next step for Scrapyard Media?
You know, we talked about this at the beginning of the year and really wanted to diversify into some different industries, and sports was kind of at the top of the list. So we were trying to do something with either hockey or baseball. Now that Christian's involved, he's huge into baseball and he's got connections there. So something with that. I know Bobby loves music. Like we could do something there, but really just leveraging opportunities in other industries is kind of what we're thinking right now. You have any thoughts on that, Bob?
I love it.
I would just say definitely. I mean, the music thing, that's just a separate passion of mine, but it's also, they're so closely related between video and music. Like we work with music all of the time. I just went to a show in Ferndale actually with, do you know what Reggie Watts is?
No.
So I just brought the camera and took some pictures, and I went up to him after the show and got his phone number, and I was like, I'll just send you some after I finish editing them. But I think I want to keep doing that, you know, in like my spare time. And then you just never know. It's the same thing, just kind of putting your hat in the ring, meeting people, going out, shaking hands, whatever. You don't know where that's going to take you. But I'd like to do more of that this year, I think, putting myself out there a little bit. And then kind of the same thing as you, Ashton, like continuing to grow the team. I was excited for Christian to start as an opportunity to teach somebody what I know, one, just to reinforce what I know, but also
It does help.
kind of just to help somebody along. I hadn't really had that opportunity yet in my life. So, so far so good. I mean, it's been 2 days, but even in those 2 days, I found myself giving advice or asking questions or whatever, just kind of naturally. So it's been going well. And then,
That's awesome.
Yeah, we got a handful of projects coming up this year that should be challenging and keep us on our toes. And I think that's kind of the goal, is just to keep pushing.
Absolutely. I mean, I've had a blast working with Brad at the past 2 events. I hope to get to meet the rest of you guys at some point at one of these events.
Yeah, I think that'll happen.
Yeah, for sure.
I mean, we got the whole year full of events, and it's looking like
no shortage.
Yeah, it's looking like things just kind of change and pop up here and there. So I'm sure you'll see everybody at some point.
I love it.
Cool. Well, it was. Did you have any other questions, or do you wanna...
Yeah, we don't really get questions.
No, I know, but I didn't want to just like end it. If you wanted to talk about anything, I mean,
I know it's you guys' podcast, but I feel like there's room for questions.
100%.
I haven't watched every episode you guys have done. I watched a few of them.
We're getting to like, probably this might be 30 or something. Maybe more than 30.
That's sweet.
I think last was 30.
Okay, 31.
This is 31.
Real quick, this is my favorite question to ask every person in media. What's your favorite shoot you've done over your career?
We're going to have to cut out some like time here where we can sit here and think about this, because there's quite
I know you guys
few.
have done some really cool ones.
Yeah, you know, Katie, I bet you could probably get one right off the rip. Am I
Yeah,
You
right?
guys already
probably.
know what I'm going to say.
I know, just say it.
We already talked about this.
Yeah, go for it.
Okay, well, my favorite shoot is with Mike Howe and Sarah Howe with How to Live, and when we went on the Kraken trip through Florida. And I was really trying to find an alligator then, and we didn't find one at all. And I was really disappointed about that, but for sure shooting with them has been my all-time favorite.
nice.
Solid answer.
Yeah, I think mine has got to be the first year that we did Boyne Thunder. There wasn't really a we. It was pretty much just me and
I was there.
Katie. Yeah, Katie was just learning, so she
I was just point and shooting,
Yeah.
but I was doing it.
But it was an event.
Nothing wrong with that.
It was an event that we had gone to for 2 or 3 years before, and to me, that poker run was like the ultimate poker run in the country, maybe the world. I don't know if they do poker runs all over the world, but it looked like, there was an opportunity there to maybe get to do that at some point, because they had gone from different videographer each year. Like, they kept changing. So they clearly weren't happy with whatever was going on. And that first year we did it, it was intense. It was a 12-minute video delivered the same day we got off the helicopter to play at the dinner party for everybody to watch. And I hadn't done that before. And then the deliverable was like a 20-minute video with some narrative and everything. And I just remember like sinking my teeth into this, like I had the timeline all laid out in advance. I had the songs there. I had the markers there. Like, all I had to do was drop the clips in. My computer was a total piece of shit. Like, I had to proxy every file. Like, Warp Stabilizer was just a no-go. And I shot the whole thing handheld. But it was it was probably the most challenging day in filmmaking that I've had. And going from that to where we are now, like, I feel confident in the day of edits. I love doing that event. We take my parents up there now. So it's really been a success story with that event. And we're on our 4th year doing it now. So yeah, that's got to be my favorite one. Yeah.
I would say mine similarly is like probably one of the more challenging ones. And it's one of those things where, like, in the moment, I'm like, this sucks because it's, hard. But at the end of the day, once you're finished, you feel a lot more grateful for that. But it was for Factory Built the first time around. So this was like pretty early on in my career. I mean, my career is all of, a little over 2 years at this point. But I would say this is like maybe 1 year in, and we were at the shootout. Brad had to leave early for a wedding, I think, so I was kind of left alone to basically take this project by myself. It was shooting Factory Built, which is a boat that is breaking the speed record every year for V-bottoms at the shootout, or at least they have the last 2 years. But this was the first one, and I didn't know like what it was going to look like. I had never been to the shootout before. I didn't know how fast the boat was going to go. There was basically no expectation that I had, so it was just kind of winging it the whole time. There was moments where I was operating a camera and a drone at the same time, trying to kind of like do a little bit of both.
Love that.
Yeah. At this point, this is not like something I should be doing. Like, it was definitely, I was out on a limb there with that, but I was just doing what I had to do, getting interviews when I could, just documenting as much as I could of this event by myself, because I just didn't,
I love it.
Brett had to leave. So it was tough. It was really hot that weekend too.
Yeah.
Everything about it was a bit of a struggle. All of our cameras were overheating. All of the GoPros, the 11s, could not last longer than like 5 minutes. Even the Insta360 was overheating. Like, it was a lot. It was tough. But then when I got home from that trip, and relaxed, I just looked back on it, and it's one of those things where you're almost like, not to sound cocky, but I was impressed with myself at the end of the day. After I saw that it was done, I was like, I cannot believe that I just managed to do that. And then Brad went on to edit the video. That was one of those ones where I got to like hand it off, and Brad took it from there, and it did really well on YouTube. So it's just something to be proud of at the end of the day.
Yeah, I think it's our highest performing video on YouTube, actually.
It's cool to
That's
just
sick.
You can toot your own heart a little bit.
Yeah, I know. I have a hard time doing
Absolutely.
it.
I feel like those projects are always the ones where it's in the moment, it's a total shit show.
Right.
And everything and nothing is going right. And then you get home, you go through it, you edit it, and you deliver it to the client. And I still think that's one of the most rewarding parts of this job, and I'm sure you guys can agree, is they have no clue what goes in until they click play on that final video. And then the response that you get, hopefully it's a positive one, is normally like the most rewarding part of the job is being able to showcase some event, person, or business in a new light that they've never been able to see. And so I think those are the coolest shoots.
Yeah.
Yeah, you get that relief at the end of that too, because you're always your own worst critic. So you're like, oh my God, like I didn't shoot enough, or this edit isn't exactly what I thought. And then when you hand it over and they're like, yeah, this is great, you're just like, thank God.
How much value do you put on like their response, Ashton? Because like I've had good responses, I've had bad responses, and I've kind of taken it and put it in my own hands to say, if I like it, then I'm going to feel good about it. And I'm not going to really, like, I'll still take the feedback, but it's not going to like crush me if they hate it and I like it. You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely. And I'd say when I was starting out, and I'm sure you were the same way, feedback was everything. When I was starting out and it was, okay, one of your first 50 clients or so on an edited deliverable, that's everything. You want that that level of, I like this. That's amazing. Now, do I still get a dopamine hit? Absolutely. But we're also our own worst critic now because of the companies we built, right? We wouldn't be hired if we didn't produce good stuff. We wouldn't be continuing to do what we do if you didn't create good content for different customers. So I think you're right. At the end of the day, I'm not going to give a deliverable to someone if I'm not fully happy with it. And you're not going to do the same thing either. And I think that, we're always all going to miss something. So I always try to have a second or third set of eyes on it before it goes out. And, luckily you have 2 great sets of eyes and now a third. They can also set eyes on it. But it used to be something I cared a lot about. But now if it's, you're always going to have a hater from some which direction. Doesn't matter what it is. And now I think you're right. I definitely feel more confident in my work than I used to. And I think that's key, because if you're not confident in your work, then you're going to sit at that computer for 15 hours and doubt yourself over one keyframe. It'll never work.
It has a lot to do with picking your clients too. I mean, you can kind of gauge that at the beginning. It doesn't take long to figure out if somebody is going to be, receptive to your ideas, or if they want to steer the ship to the point where you might not be the right person to make that for them if you don't want to just, execute exactly what they're saying. I was listening to a Casey Neistat interview yesterday, and he was talking about a company that hired him, and they pretty much told him everything to do, and he was just like, "No, I'm not your guy. Like you hired me for what I do." And I don't think we're to that point yet where we have like a brand, a type of video that we can like say, "Hey, this is what we do," because we're still figuring that out. But when we do get to that point, I can see that definitely happening.
I mean, I've definitely had to say no to some shoots that are just too big for what I can handle right now. And I finally have a network of people that I'm building up that are in the same industry, and that could help me out on certain events, which is a phenomenal thing to start building. And I think I just think so it's great. Helpful.
Yeah, every shoot that I go to, I feel like I meet another person, and the stigma around this profession is like, oh, everybody is closed off and, they want to hold on to their clients and everything. But I swear 99% of the people I meet are so open to just working with you, or, like coming on the podcast, talking about your clients, helping each other. It's been really nice.
Absolutely. I mean, dude, even working with you, like that stigma, I was like, shoot, I hope this guy will share his footage with me. I mean, you never know though, right? You don't know how stingy someone's going to be on gear or this or that or the other. And I mean, you've been sick to work with. And I think it absolutely is a great future for both of us ahead of us, and working together on projects and anything that we need each other for. Like you've been there for, I hope I can feel the same and say vice versa on that. But it was great. And you're right. Like we went out in Vegas, we met a bunch of people. In the DR, we met a bunch of guys. And every person that I run into over the past year, I'd say with a professional setup camera has been nothing but nice. Like it's been a super cool industry diving into and just building that network. It all goes back to that network, I feel like. And it's great. Now, hopefully continue to build a team over the next year and see where it goes. And
I know I owe you some X4 footage still. So when we wrap this up here, I'll go pull that out for you. But really though, thanks for coming on. It's been a pleasure working with you. And we got the rest of the year for at least this project, and then who knows what else is going to come up. I would definitely love to have you be on one of our projects in the future. So
dude, same here. I feel like you guys have such a cool way of telling stories that's more advanced than a lot of companies out there, a lot of just media guys in general. So I definitely have that in the back of my head when I meet the client to introduce to you guys, to hopefully we can all work together as a team on. So there's definitely some good stuff in the future.
Yep, absolutely. Thank you. Yeah, thank you for coming on, and hopefully we'll meet you in person here sometime soon. Come out and visit us in Michigan.
Yeah, it was wonderful.
Same here. You guys are always welcome. You too.
Okay.
All right.
Thank you
See ya.
guys.
All right,
was
take it
awesome.
easy. Thank you.